Hello and welcome to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kunal, and on my channel I share strategies in acquiring a foreign language. I want to take the time out today to tell you why reading feels so intensive and why it involves so much effort and why most people nowadays prefer to listen to audiobooks. When you first start learning a language, we first learn the language through our ears. That is to say, our parents speak to us, and after speaking to us for so much time, at some point of time, we start understanding the messages, and very soon we're able to speak. We develop the abilities to speak quite often way before we are able to read. In school, in maybe nursery or kindergarten, whatever you might call it, is when you start reading your ABC, and then you go to first grade, second grade, and you read stuff that is a bit more complicated. What is involved in the very act of reading makes it far more intense. When you read, you're coming across letters and words on a paper whose pronunciation you need to keep in mind at all times in order to pronounce that word properly. So, not only are you seeing something, you're also going through something called a subvocalization, where you pronounce what you listen to silently, you don't say it out loud, and that's how you proceed when you read. When you are speaking or when you are listening to someone, there's a lot of time that words flow really fast. For example, if I were to say, "What are you doing?" So that flows naturally. What are you doing? But if you read it, it would be, "What are you doing?" Compare that to the spoken word or the word that you hear or the sentence that you hear. What are you doing? There is a great difference. Now, given the fact that we need to go word by word when we read, that is the very reason why people who read a lot have a really big vocabulary. See what happens when you read, you come across various words that you do not understand, and quite often when you read and you don't understand a word, that's when you take a pause. That's when you stop, that's when you go to the dictionary, you see the meaning, okay, that's what the word means, and then you continue. That is if you're learning a new language. Otherwise, people do tend to skip words they don't understand. I know that. So, if you're learning a foreign language, the best way to increase your vocabulary is through reading, in my opinion, because when you read, you'll come across a lot of words you do not understand. You'll stop there, you'll go to the dictionary, and you'll try and understand what those words mean. I, for example, am learning French. So, when I'm reading French, I have two tabs open. I have the tab open for reading the news in French, and I have another tab open of forvo.com. For those of you who don't know, forvo.com is a place where you can listen to the pronunciation of the words of the language you're trying to acquire. Since French is not a phonetic language, that is to say, what you read and what you pronounce is not always the same, you need to be sure that your subvocalization is correct. So while reading French, I have the French news website open, I have forvo.com open, and sometimes I have another website called deepl.com open. DeepL is a translation software which is really useful. It's far better than Google Translate. And these are the three tabs that would be open when I'm trying to understand written content in French. Now, written content by its very nature can be quite intensive for a lot of people, and that's why most people are migrating to audiobooks, because there is no subvocalization when you are listening to content, because the voice of the words is already there with the narrator. However, when you're reading, you are the narrator for what you read, and hence we go through a process of subvocalization, and that's why reading quite often is more intensive for a lot more people. I remember when I was a teenager or an adolescent, before cell phones had come out into full swing, people could go hours and hours reading a book. In fact, it used to be a pleasure for some adolescents or teenagers to read a Harry Potter book in one single session. I remember when the fifth installment came out of the Harry Potter series, some people decided they'd read as much as soon as possible and be done with it, and some people actually posted that challenge online and talked about how long it took them. So, with the advent of cell phones, it's becoming harder to concentrate because our attention is being split in different directions. So, if you are someone who finds reading to be a very intensive activity, switch to audiobooks, but keep in mind, be very alert for what you listen to, because it's very easy to skip words when you're listening to audiobooks. Generally, we don't pause when we come across words we don't understand while listening to an audiobook. So if you want to improve your vocabulary using audiobooks, stop when you don't understand a word, look that up in the dictionary, and then progress. So depending upon what you prefer, let me know in the comment section whether you're a reader or you're a listener, and I'd be glad to reply to your comments.